Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Women Connecting Women show. I'm Karen Yankovich, and I am here with my friend Veronique Cordon. Did I say your name right? Never.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
awesome.
Veronique. Yeah,
Veronique Cordon, right?
yeah.
And Veronique and I have met a few years ago. We both belong to a chamber, a local. We both live in New Jersey, and have gone to some conferences we had in common, and have done a lot of networking. And I really wanted to have her on the podcast, so she joined me for the show. I hope you got a chance to check that out. It was episode 109. But I like to have my podcast guests on after the podcast to see how things are going. And boy, have things changed since your podcast episode, right? And you're in the world and your business and everything. So, Veronique, why don't you tell everybody a little about you and what you do and who you help?
Well, I maybe I'm repeating myself, but I used to have a wonderful corporate pharma career and
Mm-hmm.
commercial roles, and I worked in Europe, but most of my life, the past 25 years in the US. And I worked in great companies and I launched many products. But my passion is for health. And then, based on something that happened in my life, where in fact I did not take care of myself and I let myself go to the point where I had a major burnout, um, initially I decided to study nutrition and I got interested in a lot of ways to learn to de stress and relax. So I got a degree, a master's degree in nutrition. And then I started to help people, mostly women, and this became a weight loss program. And to tell you the truth, there's such a correlation between weight gain and the fact that people are not really taking the time or don't have the time to put themselves first, especially
Oh my
women,
gosh, so
and
true.
take the time to exercise. Be mindful about what they eat. It's always rush, rush, rush.
Mm-hmm.
Now with the pandemic, I feel like we spend our time on Zoom, myself, my husband, we don't have kids at home anymore. So I can imagine what it is to have kids at home, homeschooling, or I have a perfect relationship with my husband, but what happens if you have problems in your couple and you're stuck together for months, right? So um, yes, life has changed, and but I'm glad I'm back today because I have learned a lot of things about myself and others
Mm-hmm.
during the pandemic, and it's a continuation of our conversation on the podcast, which is about brain health. So
Right.
I've
So
kind of
let's.
gone from weight loss to
Yeah.
brain health, especially my brain,
Mhm. Well,
and
and it's so, listen, I mean, every year that goes by, for me anyway, it becomes more important for me to keep my body healthy, but also keep my brain healthy. I have a family history of dementia and Alzheimer's, and I want to do everything I can to stay as healthy as I can for as long as I can.
yeah, well, for Alzheimer's or dementia prevention, nutrition is very important because
Right.
if you don't pay attention in your brain, you have blood vessels, so they also get impacted from that perspective. So your blood flow is going down,
Right.
so you don't have as much oxygen, so you don't work as well. Um, but also, sleep. It's during sleep that, in fact, your brain is being cleaned. Um, and that also has an impact on how well you age and I know how sharp you stay. So there are so many things that are impacting our brain. So I have started to study this more and more. I even started a podcast, Make Your Brain Happy. And yes, I was just looking recently at brain breaks because I see, like my husband is a professor, he's doing like classes 4 hours in a row. He comes back, he works downstairs, he's emerging from the cave.
Hmm.
Not because he's been playing games in the man cave, no, because he's been teaching people for hours.
Right. Right.
And it's
Which
been
is,
a
I
days
don't
and
know how people do it. I really
yes,
don't.
yes. So I started to look at, there must be some ways that, if we had meetings all day long, at least during meetings, we were stopping at one point. Say, okay,
Hmm.
let's take a break.
Right.
Let's go to the restroom, or food is coming, or something is happening, right? But now here we are glued to our computers,
Hmm.
and it's like we almost feel guilty to take a potty break, right?
Right.
So, in fact, the brain can really only focus for so long as some people say 10 minutes, but it's usually 20 to 25 minutes. And
Really?
after that, yeah, after that, you're losing it. And in fact, you become stressed.
Yeah.
And therefore, your ability to be effective, to be learning, or to be teaching is going down. So it is a method. I was just realizing this. It's called the Pomodoro method, and Pomodoro in Italian means tomato, right?
Right.
So this was created, like I think, in the 80s by an Italian researcher, and his method is saying that after 25 minutes, you have to take a 5-minute break. And the Pomodoro used to be a timer that was used in Italian kitchen,
Hmm.
design there in the shape of a Pomodoro. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to apply the Pomodoro strategy and force myself. And sometime during Zoom or whatever, I'm a little bit irreverent in a way that I say, okay, sorry, I'm going to go and get a cup of coffee now, or oh,
Interesting.
sorry, yes,
Interesting. I've
we
always seen
do,
the Pomodoro method, but for some reason in my head, I had it flipped because absolutely, a kitchen timer is one of my best productivity tools. But for me, it's the opposite. It's like, I'm going to set this timer for 30 minutes, and until it rings, I'm doing nothing but cleaning my email. Because what happens for me is I just get pulled all over the place. And the timer for me is like, as long as this is ticking, I'm not letting myself get distracted. And so I use it for productivity more than, okay, like it's been long enough, get up and take a break.
no, but the two are linked. You
Okay.
are doing it absolutely right because when you do the Pomodoro
Hmm.
technique, you are laser focused on what you need to do, and you know you have a time constraint, and you like, I have to do it. But then you take the 5-minute break, which is, smell the roses, go and eat or drink something. We need to drink a lot of water during the day, or take a walk, whatever it is. And when you walk, by the way, it increases your creativity.
Hmm.
So rather than taking a break seated, if you take a break walking, you increase your creativity. But you're doing it absolutely right.
It
So,
is,
and
it is
I
one of
bet
my
you
best
will,
productivity
yes,
tools.
yes, yes. Well, so now you will remember me, and I have this red ball in the back, the Pomodoro 25
Oh,
minutes.
is that the Pomodoro?
No, it's just that color. But it's important to take the
Mhm.
5-minute break,
It
because
is.
it's really science behind it that says, you know what, you're going to get better after the 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Yeah. Vina, you're welcome. If you needed permission to take a break, you've got our permission, and
Yes.
now
You're
you can
welcome,
take a
Gina.
break.
Yes.
Now you can take a break. Excuse me. I I love that because it has changed. I mean, I think that I don't know, so much I feel like so much has changed with this pandemic that we're living in, with our productivity and our time. And you're right about how much time we're spending here, right? So I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I had a really nice breakfast, but I looked at my watch a half an hour ago and said I haven't eaten anything for hours, and I just grabbed some handfuls of popcorn. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm not structured enough. And I work from home all the time. So it's not like this is a new thing for me, right? But what's new for me is I'm not going out as much, and I'm trying not to order in as much. And I try to cook from home. But let me tell you, cooking at home takes a lot of shopping, cooking, chopping, cleaning, dishwashing, right? Like it's a lot. So it's shifted even for me, and I work from home all the time. I can't imagine people that, and I don't have any kids home, so I can't imagine what it's like for people that have to support their families and are working and trying to balance their time and their own health.
Yeah, no, and I'm not the right person to talk about this because both my husband and I, one, we are alone. We
Hmm.
are very independent, and we are both cooks. So we take turns. So like what we do is like one night I cook, the next night he cooks, and he used to cook all the time because I was commuting. But now I have become a cook again. But what we do is we're very smart at cooking with a plan so that we have food for at least the next 2 days. So
That's a
we
great
do big batches, a big batch of vegetable, a ratatouille, or like we cooked shrimp yesterday, but there were more shrimps today. You see what I mean?
idea.
So we have those windows of opportunities where we don't have to cook, we just have to reheat. So we always think cook, reheat. And
Right.
also because of COVID, I don't know if I told you this. No, because when you interviewed me, it was not COVID yet.
And no, it was, I think it was the fall. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so what we've become is we've become very respectful and I would say mindful about how much we eat. Because I felt, I remember at the beginning we had to really pay attention to what we were eating. It was not just like paper, toilet paper or
Right.
swipes or whatever. There was some food scarcity sometimes. We were out of meat or out of this or out of flour.
Right.
So I said, we have a new rule at home that nothing can be thrown away. So that started to change the way we were shopping, cooking, and eating. In fact, my husband has
I
lost
like
12
that.
pounds, 12 to 15 pounds, and I have lost 8 pounds. And we have not exercised as much as we used to. So you could say we have lost some muscle mass, but that was one of the learnings of COVID. Instead of eating to try to soothe anxiety or stress, which doesn't help because especially if you go for sweets, it creates inflammation, which is not good for your brain and not good. It makes you more prone to infection or catching something like COVID, right? So make sure you take your vitamin C's, D, magnesium, vitamin B for stress, and eat a lot of vegetables and fruits. And I think it's really boosting your immune system. So we also kept our health in mind, not our weight,
Hmm.
but our health. So how can I be healthy? I am healthy if I sleep well,
Hmm.
because that's when your body and your brain is being restored.
Yeah.
And your memory and all parts of your brain need this rest to be effective the next day. And then how can we be healthy? Like we had a rule remember when there was less food, you could not even find frozen vegetables anymore,
Right.
at least in print, right? So we said in our freezer, which is small, we can only have essential foods, not ice cream or stuff like that.
Hmm.
So that was really a change, and I think this change is going to stay with us.
I
Um,
think a lot of us are finding that the changes that we're implementing during these times are serving us
yeah,
well.
yes,
That we were doing a lot based on just being reactive or what we thought we needed to be doing. And this has really given us time to
yeah,
step back and really be more intentional.
yes,
Yeah. But
yeah,
let's talk a little bit. You mentioned sleep a couple times. I
yeah,
am very grateful that I can sleep. And I
yeah.
know a lot of people can't, so I can't even imagine what that's like, truthfully, Veronique, because I know what happens to me when I don't sleep and I sleep all the time, you know?
Mhm.
So, but it was interesting. Like, I always wonder, like I have an Apple Watch that has a sleep app on it, and it tells you how deep your sleep is. And some nights I have great sleep and lots of deep sleep, and some nights I have like almost no deep sleep. And I don't want, like I was thinking last night, like, why does that even happen? Like, what did I do differently that made, Tuesday I had great sleep and deep sleep, and Wednesday I had no deep sleep,
I
So
have no
yeah,
explanation for that, but I guess it may depend on how tired you are,
maybe.
how much you work that day. I said to a lot of people who tell me I cannot sleep, I said, well, are you eating a lot before you go to bed? If you have a huge dinner and a lot of alcohol, it's really going to impair your sleep.
Right.
Um, did you move? Did you exercise or walk today? Because if you don't do anything physically, you're not going to be tired and you're going to have a hard time falling asleep. Um, Very often, what I do is before going to sleep, I go for a walk, even for 5 or 10 minutes.
Oh yeah.
And that really makes a difference because it's almost like it calms you down. Because usually, yes, I had a nice dinner with my husband, so we always have our dinners together because that's also part of the ritual and having a conversation with your loved one.
Hmm.
Because I was also reading that, when the brain needs social interaction, and a lot of people are complaining about this. I don't have them. But do you even have them with the people you live with, if you live with people?
Hmm.
And having conversations is important for your brain health because it keeps your brain engaged.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be something stressful. You don't have to speak about COVID all the time or politics. But I just read that book, and oh, I just saw that show, or this is something I learned today. And my husband is a professor in French language, so he's a stickler for vocabulary and he's a very good teacher who knows how to engage his students. Like he's, every 10 minutes he has a quiz, or he has an anecdote, or he's asking them questions, so that they don't get bored so much. So he's like, he has so many stories. So he's quizzing me every night. Like, did you know what is the origin of that word? So we have all those conversations, and it's kind of relaxing rather than sitting in front of the TV and watching a show, whatever. Or we go for a walk together. So yes, those meaningful conversations are important.
Yeah, interesting. I love that. So it's interesting how things have shifted. So tell us a little bit about your podcast that you're is it live? Can we listen to it now?
Yeah, yes. So I have a show on Princeton TV that's about health in general and
Mhm.
lifestyle. And the studio has been closed, since February for all the obvious reason, because in the studio everybody is together.
Right.
So it's still closed. So I said, and I was very interested, as you know, about brain health. So I said, I may as well start a podcast. Apparently, a lot of people have started a podcast uh, during COVID. So this is a new hobby that a lot of people started. And so I just started and I'm interviewing. And if you listen to me, you are welcome to be a, uh, a guest on my show. It's called Make Your Brain Happy.
And how do we find it? I'm gonna.
It's on Apple and it's called Make Your Brain Happy. And what we explore is ways to make your brain happy. Um, you know, um, and also we discuss about, how can you leverage science based on neuroplasticity, or how can you change your brain? And in fact, I was just reading something that I shared on LinkedIn because one big finding I had, what a big aha moment for me during this situation. My income is down. Even my husband has less classes. We don't know what the future entails. This is like a never-ending situation. I mean, there's a lot of gloom and doom. And if I had been like 10 years younger or whatever, I really believe I would have fallen in a deep depression again. And I have been able to navigate, and still today, in spite of all the challenges and the uncertainties, in a kind of a Zen way. I said, Veronique, and I am meditating. I said, what's going on? This is really very interesting. I don't have panic attacks. I don't have real anxiety. I sleep well. And I don't know if I share this with you, but after my big burnout, I started to be a very disciplined meditator.
Mhm.
And when I was at home twice for 3 months, like a vegetable, frankly speaking, all I had to do was meditate. So I was meditating sometimes 3 hours in a row. I was like a Tibetan, a monk from
Really
Tibet. Yeah, I was really, I experienced
interesting.
amazing things. So that is one thing I did. And the second thing I did is I started to run, like
Okay.
almost every day. And in fact, running or walking is a form of meditation, especially if you are surrounded by nature and you are really present. And I was reading this article about meditation, and it's by this woman. I want to give her name because I did my research. Her name is Sarah Lazar from Harvard,
Okay.
and she's a neuroscientist. And they have really studied the benefit of meditation on different parts of the brain. So I don't know if I'm going to pronounce it well. The amygdala.
Yep. Yeah, I
And
think you did it right. That's
yeah,
exactly right.
right. Okay, that's deep in your brain. That's the shape
Mm-hmm.
of an almond. It's like this part of your brain that is dealing with all the, it's involved in the fight and flight situation. It helps you understand and filter the emotion or fear and reactions to what is going on around you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you take away the amygdala of an animal, like you take the amygdala out of a mouse, the mouse is going to sleep with the cat.
Mm-hmm.
Really, they did the experiment. So, and there is a correlation between the size, the bigger,
Mm-hmm.
the amygdala, and a little bit of your level of aggression or your
Interesting.
emotional response to things. And she says that when you are a profound meditator, you're able to shrink your amygdala. And I'm a kid that I have been living with anxiety and depression since I am a kid. And I am absolutely, it's not I shrunk the kids, I shrunk my amygdala.
Wow.
And I'm
I just
absolutely
made that connection, right?
I
Honey, the Shrunk
wish I
Kids.
wish I had an MRI of before and after,
Yeah.
like 10 years
I
ago.
love that. That's so cool. That's so cool.
Yes.
I do love meditation, and there have been a few times in my life where I definitely have had great meditations, but they're few and far between. My brain, it is hard to turn my brain off. And but you're right. I do try to do walks or walk on the beach, but then my brain is just going and going and going, which is where I get a lot of good ideas. But I do meditate. I try to meditate every morning. And I find that now, because of just of, I mean, I get that it's this interesting world of mine, right? Like I live by myself, so it's not like I have people around all the time, but I am working a lot, so I'm always on the phone. I'm always on my computer, because if I'm not working, what am I doing? Watching TV?
Yeah.
Like I don't want to watch TV,
Uh-huh.
right? So what I found was, in the past, where I would be looking for guided meditations, I now need silence. I need to stop hearing noise. I don't want to hear. I've never been one to leave the TV on all day anyway, but I need to not hear just people talking, or because I listen to
Yeah.
podcasts and all that. So it's interesting that that shifted for me. Like my meditations now, even if it's 5 minutes, it needs to be silence. And I have some amazing meditation podcasts that I love, and people that I love that have done amazing meditations. And um, it's shifted a little. I need silence now.
Well, I would say I'm not a meditation expert. I would say that you have um, you have reached a level where your brain needs even more rest,
Yeah,
and silence is rest, right?
yeah,
But it's not just the amygdala. So if you shrink your amygdala, you become more calm. You are more zen. You you are less anxious. You deal
right.
with stress better. But also, I mean, she looked at, all parts of the brain, but also the left hippocampus,
Hmm.
which is associated with learning. So the cortical thickness is growing when you meditate, um, which means that you also become better at learning and at retaining
Well, so
information.
here's the deal. First of all, if you don't mind either emailing me the name of this person, this
Yes,
doctor, or
yes,
jumping into the LinkedIn group
yes,
post later on and
yes,
popping her name in
yes,
there.
yeah,
But for me, as an entrepreneur, as somebody who, I love working. I love what I do. So I'm not looking to retire tomorrow. Um, I the more that I am feeling my best and that my brain is at my best, the better my job is, the better my work is. and the better my bank account is, right? Because I'm doing more with that. So to me, this is all like not it's not like self-care for me isn't really just for me. It's for me and my business, which supports me and my kids and my grandkids and so I really like to look at this as a business thing. In fact, I'm definitely an early riser. I can go to bed early. And there are times that I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to shut this down and go to bed and get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and finish it because I know that what I'm struggling with at 8 o'clock at night, I'm going to take 5 minutes and finish at 5 o'clock in the morning. I know my morning brain is much more on point than my evening brain. And it's just always been that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to plan my life and my business around when I know when I know that I'm in my best brain health, I guess.
Yeah, but I had a weight loss client, and she is a nurse in an emergency room. So imagine the stress she encounters, right?
Right.
Plus, she's divorced and she's raising two boys.
Oh,
So that's not an easy life, right? And it was always everybody before her,
mhm.
including her mother. And then one day, pushed by me, and this was beyond just weight loss. I said, "You have to take care of yourself." So she listened and she realized several things. That she realized that it was okay to take time for herself, that the world and the universe was realigning itself around her,
Mm.
that her family still loved her. Nobody was angry with her because she said, "Okay, I'm going to do yoga now for 30 minutes."
Right.
So, and she started to exercise. She changed the way she was eating. She was really not eating well. She was eating a lot of, I call it crap food, because she
Right.
didn't have the time to cook. All of a sudden, um, or gradually, but very quickly, her level of energy was multiplied. And then what happened is that she said, my aha moment, Veronique, is that no, I haven't been able to ski in the Poconos with my kids. No, I can ski with them. I've been swimming with them. I have more energy. So in fact,
Yes.
I can do more for other. So by giving myself more time, I am now able to give more time to others. So that was her
Ooh,
big transformation.
that's amazing. That's awesome.
That is awesome.
It's so true though. It's so true. And I listen, I can talk the talk and I don't walk the walk that well either. Like I find myself, I get up early, but there are times I'll just sit on a chair where I like to meditate. But if I probably should leave my phone somewhere else because I'll pick up my phone and then I'll go down the social media rabbit hole for a little bit. And somehow watching Instagram stories of people I don't even know or really care about is more important than doing a half hour of yoga. And the next thing I know, 45 minutes has. So I don't have time to do the yoga, but somehow I have 45 minutes to watch Instagram stories from people I don't know,
We're
right?
all the same.
So,
We're all the
right,
same.
right.
We're all the same. It's okay to be on Instagram or Facebook for a
Mhm.
while, and we, because of our jobs, we are forced to be on those social platforms a lot for our
Mhm.
business. So, but yeah, you just have to, like when I go on a walk, even if it's for 10 minutes, I really try to not take my phone. Like, when I see somebody walking and I see them on their phone, I said, okay, yeah, maybe you get fresh air, but you're not really in the moment. You're not savoring the moment. I
Right.
followed this amazing, oh, yeah, something I did during the quarantine is I decided to go back to school. So I went to Harvard online and I got two certificates out of three on the fundamentals of neuroscience.
Ooh,
So that to me was
I
like,
love
instead
that.
of wasting my time or doing nothing, I'm getting my certificates and I'm learning cool things about the brain. But then I did something that is the number one, like it's a super cool course that's called The Art of Well-Being or The Art of Happiness by Professor Laurie Santos at Yale. And
Okay.
it's one of the top courses. It's free.
Okay.
If you want a certificate, you pay like $48. And
Okay.
then you discover how you can tap into your ability to be happy, to enjoy your life. You don't live in la la land, but one of our principles is to say you need to learn to savor the moments. And I'm going to tell you that maybe I'm crazy, but like I bought some beautiful peaches, New Jersey peaches from the
Mhm.
farmers market, and I take great pleasure in peeling them perfectly and then in quartering them and like eating them very slowly. It boosts my dopamine level in my brain because I'm multiplying the pleasure of not only eating, but the whole little ritual. So this is called savoring your time.
Ooh,
And
very
those
cool.
little things, I don't need to go on a trip to the Bahamas or I don't, it's not material things, it's those little things that are becoming more meaningful and that you learn to appreciate. I mean, this is, I think, another thing I learned during COVID that it's those little instants of pleasure.
Wow. Wow.
And
I love that.
mhm.
I love that. I don't know. Is your phone exploding? Because if you guys are not listening, if I'm listening to you, but my phone is exploding with people, so I'm gonna just tell you guys here. I'm getting text messages that are saying Biden Harris. So I guess Joe Biden must have just announced that Kamala Harris is his running mate.
Well, like we had not expected
Right.
this,
So just so
right?
whatever, I'm like literally like all of a sudden I'm like, why is everything exploding on me around me? And it's like, so Joe Biden must have just announced that Kamala Harris is his running mate.
Yeah,
So for
well,
those of you who don't have 50,000 people who think you need to know that the minute it happens, you now
yeah,
know. So that's
yeah,
interesting.
yes,
But I love the idea of savoring things. I think that that's actually even more important. Again, I mean, I can't. The reality is we are living in this time we're living in, right? So I don't. It's funny. Like I'm not really intending to make all of these about COVID, but the reality is it is affecting our lives, right? And I think that where we can find little joys that make us happy is important. So I'm totally going to check out that Yale course. One of the things that I did, hold on, I got to figure out which way I go. You see behind me, there's the green flowers, but then there's like
yes,
a little,
yes,
there's
yes,
like a little
yes,
another little vase with some
yes,
flowers. So
yes,
what I've been doing is buying flowers, and then like I have the new flowers, but then I take the old flowers from the week before or whenever, and I put them in all the little vases around my house. So like I have fresh flowers, and that makes me happy, and
yes,
that's what I'm
absolutely.
savoring, right?
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. The view.
Exactly.
It's the view. So,
Yeah, and it makes me feel good. And when I feel good, I'm a better mom, grandmother, business owner, all the way across the board. So I
mhm.
love the work you do, Veronique. So tell us about your book, because I know the book's been around a while now, but tell everybody about your book.
Yeah, it's weight loss starts in your brain, and then there is a companion book, and you can find them on Amazon. And I'm selling it's selling very very well. So I think I've taken weight loss as a more like as a self-discovery approach,
Mm-hmm.
where you respect yourself, you love yourself, you take the time for yourself, and you look at what you eat as yes, of course we need pleasure when we eat, but um, you know there are ways that we can combine pleasure and nurturing. But you're the first one to hear that I have started to write a third book.
Ooh,
This one is going to take more time. I hope I will be able to publish it by the first half of next year. And I have decided to share my brain, my breaking my brain and how I changed my brain story. How I got to that
ooh,
point by not taking
interesting.
care of myself, and then how I was able to. And if you had met me 25 years ago, you wouldn't think I'm the same person.
Really?
Um, because I learned to be happy. I mean, really. And also something very interesting in this, I'm selling that Yale course is that you do this specific assessment. You have to do a happiness score assessment.
Ooh, okay.
Happy. I lost a little bit because of COVID, but I'm pretty high. The max is 5. But there's another one that's, I think it's called the VIA. So it's where you learn what are your strengths.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean they are your only strengths, but she says, in this course, if you really leverage your strengths and you use them as your allies, you can be a happier person. And so my top 3 were interesting, but one was humor. And humor has really saved me many times from different gloomy situations and helped me look at the window and not only see the sunshine, but like if you put a little bit of humor in your life, I think it kind of elevates, or I don't know, it's de-dramatizing the situation. Or if you have a little chuckle in your brain when you look at yourself, instead of crying, I think it's and I said, you know what, I'm really gonna lean and creativity as well was one
Yeah.
of my strengths. So
That's exciting that you have a new book coming out. That's
yeah.
very exciting.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit scared because
Okay. Why?
well, because the Cogni diet, it was kind of, I'm not saying it was easy. It's not easy to write the book, but I had the curriculum in mind. I had done the curriculum. I had done the clinical trial. I had patient stories. I had a lot of the material and the methodology. Whereas here, it's going to be more intimate,
Yeah.
about talking about myself.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to talk about yourself, but I feel like I can help other people this way, that especially now that if you work, at one point you are really down, and when you are really at the bottom, there is only one way up, right? It's a big kick to go up again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Do you talk about it on your podcast? Because maybe
well,
that's a way to ease in to the book, like doing more, like
yes,
talking a little bit more about it on the podcast.
yes, I want neuroscientists. I'm gonna I had a person who spoke about stress and how
Mhm.
to manage stress. I had another person who spoke about, well, mini meditations and mini hacks. It was really during COVID on how to take those 5 minutes brain breaks. By
Mhm.
the way, one is just smile or laugh. So
Right.
she said if she and she does is it called laugh or laughing sessions where if you do ha 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 ho 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 ho, you see, you're
Mhm.
smiling. If
Yeah.
I was continuing, you would start to laugh as well.
Right.
So this
Right.
gives a boost. So you know, and then I had a person who maybe you know her, Ellie Cohen, but it's not out yet. We
Oh,
talked
I do. Eleanor, is it Eleanor
about
Cohen or
uh,
Ellie?
Ellie Cohen. She's a doctor
Okay, no, I don't think I know her.
integrative medicine, but she's also founded the Smart Human. Her passion is really to help people avoid all the chemicals that are in the air, in the
Oh,
water,
I
in the
totally need to
products,
listen to
and
that.
everything.
Yeah.
And I invited her because to talk about the impact of those chemicals on our brain and the brains of our children. And I mean, I learned, by the way, that teenagers are the biggest consumers of all those creams and makeup and whatever you can imagine. So they're putting a lot of chemicals on their skin.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to interview a professor from Princeton who is a neuroscientist. I have also psychologists. We're going to talk about, how do you deal with your patient when you add the COVID anxiety on top of
Mhm.
all your anxiety. So yeah, I'm getting, but I have decided not to stress myself about it.
Well, you certainly seem like you're in a nice Zen kind of place.
Uh-huh.
So,
And,
and
and
honestly, I feel like I am too, and I don't know why, because there's certainly, lots of things to stress about, but I just can't go. There's also so many things to be happy about. I mean, I've got so many amazing things going on.
yes,
So,
exactly.
Yeah. So Veronique, this was great. So
Mhm.
so the Make Your Brain Happy podcast
Yes.
is Veronique's podcast, and Veronique's episode on the Good Girls Get Rich podcast is episode 109. So listen to that, and then connect with her on LinkedIn. You've got, if you go in and comment on this thread on LinkedIn, then they'll know how to find you, and connect with her on LinkedIn. And let's just, I'm so glad we caught up. We're gonna have to, when things open up a little bit more, we're going to have to try to get together in person, because I
Yes,
really need
we
to
have
start
to,
meeting up with
because
people
you
in
have
person.
inspired me. In fact, you are inspiring me because of your energy and your drive. It's very impressive.
Thank you.
You are a nice person. You really support women.
That's why
You're building a community, and it's very nice to be in this community, Karen.
I am so happy that we are in the same community as well. I am really committed to supporting women. I have,
I can tell.
granddaughters, and I want them to grow up in a better world, so that is not that I don't want my sons to be happy. I do, but I just think we need to lift each other up, and that's
Yes,
my.
we need to.
Yeah. All right. So thank you so much for being here.
Bye.
Everyone connect with Veronique, catch her books, The CogniDiet, and you can just put her name in Amazon and you'll see the books. And yeah, we'll be back here next week with another Women Connecting Women show.
Yes, thank you,
Take care,
Karen.
everyone.
Bye.